All right. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the February 18th, 2026 Plastow Planning Board meeting. Shay, could you call the roll, please?
Richard Anthony,
Here.
Karen Robinson,
Excused.
Dan Kane,
Here.
Rich Leclerc,
Here.
Nolan Pelletier,
Here.
Bill Coy,
Here.
Liz Costa,
Here.
and Shay Raymaker here.
Excellent. Thank you. For purposes of tonight's meeting, we can recognize our plan admin, Shay Raymaker. She's going to be participating in the meeting, and then also, just for the record, Elizabeth Costa as the BOS
I'm the
alternate.
for the board.
Yes, yeah, but in terms of, planning board, for planning board purposes, you'll be participating tonight, at least as such.
Oh, I thought I was only the alternate for the select board.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Bill's the ex officio member of the planning board, and in his absence, you would be the alternate.
Correct.
So, we have minutes. I guess for purposes of tonight's agenda, PB 2605, that's the completeness of an application from Albert Couillard for a lot consolidation and a lot line adjustment. It was incomplete because of noticing requirements, right, in terms of abutters. Right, so as such, that won't be on the agenda. So if there's anyone here that's, wanting to participate in a public hearing with respect to that, that's no longer on the agenda. All right.
We're still going to do the conceptual?
Yeah, we will, but 2605,
Yeah, just want to
again, it's, wasn't properly noticed to abutters.
That's fine, I just want to
So
make
as
sure.
such, it's not on the agenda tonight.
I got you.
Right, so if anyone wants to remain, though, we have a packed agenda. You can participate. There's some conceptuals you can watch and listen to if you want. But other than that, that particular one's not on the agenda tonight. So.
You got to appoint Nolan.
What's that?
You have to appoint Nolan.
It's
We have to wait for the full application to be submitted, but likely March. But it depends on when we get that full submittal.
All right, so for purposes of tonight, though, I'm going to appoint Nolan Pelletier as a voting member tonight in the absence of Karen Robinson. So we'll just start with the next item, PB 2508, continued from December 17th, 2025. The completeness of an application from SORA 205 Plastow, New Hampshire LLC for review of a site plan that proposes expanding the self-storage use with the construction of a two-story, 59,284 square foot structure containing self-storage and office space. The applicant is also proposing additional parking, drainage, and landscaping. The property is located at 205 Plastow Road, tax map 44, lot 15 in the C3 zoning district. The property owner of record is SROA 205 Plastow, New Hampshire LLC. All right. Is the applicant or the representative? Just for the record, just your name and such.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name's Aaron Mackey, civil engineer with Kimley Horn, civil engineer on the project. We just wanted to start out by recapping some of the questions and covering some of the questions and comments that came up last meeting. One item that was discussed was some of the traffic and the trip generations. Just to elaborate on that item a little bit. So since then, we've submitted to the DOT for an access permit, and during that process, we had to run the calculations with ITE, and we found that you'd have 9 new weekday AM peak trips and 15 new weekday AM trips. So, the increase in traffic is pretty nominal for the self-storage use. And in addition to that, we've since worked through Steve Keach's comments, and we have a clean letter from him with no remaining comments outside of the required state permits that we're aware of, AOT, DOT, and septic. And through that process, you can see that our plan set now has a few more sheets in it, those being the septic system design is now included for review. That will be submitted to the health department, after this process. Also, in addition, you can see some sheets that AOT requested, being the Fish and Game notes and the Fish and Game sheet on C003. One last item that came up was in regards to the drainage. So if you had flipped to the grading sheet, which is C300. Now I will try to pull it up on the screen here if I can. Here we go. So there we are. So up on the screen, you'll see the grading plan, C300. So previously, we did have that detention basin down by Plastow Road, but through the AOT process and in consideration of the abutter, we've also added, and we had the space to add it, we've added this infiltration basin at the rear, which would just take the roof runoff. It's designed to not overflow at a 100-year storm. It's over-designed. We wanted to make sure that AOT was certainly satisfied, and in consideration of the abutter, I know it came up last meeting. We did have a letter written on August 20th, 2025 from Robin Sullivan. We wanted to make sure we did everything we could to address the runoff comment, which, of course, the drainage design has been looked at from a pre-condition, and we certainly aren't going to increase the flows in the post condition. So just wanted to make note of that. And other than that, that's the comments that came up. I'm happy to answer any more comments that the board might have.
Right.
I really don't have anything.
I'll open up to the members of the board. Anyone have anything specific? I note that there is
On the retention pond?
the retention pond or anything
Oh,
else.
well, no, I just wanted to know what we're asking on the C300 or in general.
Well, in general, I mean, we have a letter from our consultant indicating that everything has been, had questions associated with it have been addressed. That the only remaining items are state related. That I'm sure that if we were to vote on it, that would be considered as a condition for final approval. So.
Well, I've got like 3 questions / concerns, One, and 2 relate to the zoning ordinance, and 1 generally relates to landscaping. So the zoning ordinance ones are more, I remain troubled by the 100 square foot. It's actually overwhelming the 20,000 square foot limitation in C3. I struggle with that one. And I have no problem with the use of the lot, the way it's configured. I think it's well engineered, but I struggle with that. I'm also struggling with the limitation in the zoning ordinance that we have pavement area within the setbacks. That is in accordance with our zoning ordinance in the table of setbacks and uses, and it's in table 220-321 part B. It says no pavement will be it says, the title of it's pavement setbacks. It says no pavement will be placed in the buffer areas of commercial or industrial uses. And if I look at, I think it's L200, certainly pavement areas are sitting in those
Could you,
buffer areas.
can you bring up L200?
Sure.
Just so that, everyone can see what it is that we're talking about. So I think L200 looks like it's deciduous tree planting on my folder.
It was just the page I had that had the setbacks.
This would be the landscaping sheet. It's L100 here.
Yeah. The one I was looking at didn't have
This has them in
plantings.
dashed.
The plantings.
Yep.
So these are my questions. Again, the whole notion of how I look at things, and I'm just one, dopey member of this board, but I look at zoning and I look at, how this generally complies. But I also am a big fan of people being able to use their own property as they need to. And so I'm looking for a convincing argument, if you will, to help me arrive at a decision that, meets my overwhelming desire to help people use their property. And right now I'm not there, but I could be there.
I would say into response to the pavement comment, I think primarily the pavement that you see that's within the setback would be the access road connection, which, number one, we're meeting the existing connection and that curb cut's there, right? So that's where we're going to connect. And in addition to that, you can see there's the existing basin that the DOT utilizes. So we can't touch that, right? So the access road really makes sense to parallel that property line. And that's where we've had it. I think, generally that's the only place where the pavement is within the setback at that location. And that's also a commercial property adjacent. When you get the residentials abutting in the rear, we've certainly pulled everything into the center of the site as best we could.
I mean, yeah, there's a little, slices of pavement encroachment. You can see it in the essentially, let me just look in the corner. Oh, in this corner here, and then here, and then obviously the access road sits entirely within the encroachment, within the setback. Excuse me. To me, this is a zoning issue, not a site plan issue, in the sense that we can't waive that. If we were dealing with site plan issues, that's in our purvey to waive. This is pretty straightforward, no pavement in the buffer areas. So that's a concern of mine. And, for landscaping, I'm unsure as to what sits behind here in terms of tree cover. Certainly I can't do it now. But is there sufficient, essentially buffer blockage from these residential properties here to the building?
Yeah, all the existing vegetation on site is going to be remained. I think what, you can see at the top of the screen, we do have the tree line to remain, in the northwestern
Yep.
side. I mean, similar to that, there will be the tree line to remain at the limit of work line, which I can flip to another sheet, which might be more helpful than this one to demonstrate that. Which the grading would. I mean, your limits of grading. So this vegetation here, and this is really, the elevation changes, you're going up uphill here. So
Correct. Yep.
your building's going to be blocked. We're going to maintain this hill, right?
Yep.
So the properties back here will not be able to. That's going to serve as your buffer anyhow, and everything on the back side of that hill will remain.
Okay, no, I noticed obviously I noticed the elevation change. And I can see that, the plantings are robust as it relates to towards Plastow Road. Okay. That was my question on landscaping.
And have we answered the question satisfactorily on the buffer?
No,
This is the first time the buffer's come up, so I'm a little,
it was in a letter, I drafted like 3 or 4 months ago, when we originally issued a notice of decision, I suggested that may be an issue.
the initial denial.
Yes, the initial,
Right.
we didn't deny it, we just deemed it incomplete.
Correct. You deemed it incomplete. We appealed that. So and I think you said earlier on, I'm Roy Tilsley, I'm counsel for the applicant, sorry. We had appealed that to the ZBA as an interpretation of the zoning ordinance. The ZBA found that we were correct, so we're back here, that we are allowed to do this in terms of combining these lots and pursuing this use.
Yeah, that's not my,
Okay, so that's not your
that
concern.
issue is settled.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that's
Yeah.
not your concern.
No, that's,
So how much of those existing buffer issues are existing? Now, obviously, the road is.
So this is the cleanest plan here. So, primarily your access road would be within the setback. And as the code read, I don't know if we could
Have it here.
could take a look back at the code.
Is there a particular code section that you guys have your hands on that I can?
it's,
220.
it's the minimum dimensions for all districts table, 220-321.
Okay.
32I, I'm sorry. And it's part B.
I'm getting there. This is not the most efficient way to do it. I apologize.
Do you want my copy?
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's not the whole ordinance, honestly, just.
And
And the notion here, guys, is not to catch you off guard.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have a dialogue. I'm happy to understand how you look at it.
I don't have an answer. I guess my first question is it a building setback? Is it a pavement setback? Does having pavement there violate the setback, or is it simply just a building setback? And that's,
From my read of the ordinance, it would. It says no pavement,
It reads no pavement will be placed in the buffer areas of commercial.
and it's called pavement setbacks. For a commercial,
Section A,
for
that's
commercial
setbacks.
industrial.
yep.
And then you get to section B and it just says no
Okay.
pavement will be in buffer areas. It's not a setback, really.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess the interpretation, and we're doing this on the fly, setbacks are different than buffers, right? Usually?
Well, buffer areas are synonymous, can be
I mean,
synonymous.
usually, and I see an ordinance, a buffer tends to be different than a setback. I get that they serve the same purpose. And so
Yeah, no, and I'm,
Section A, deals with setbacks, and then the pavement setbacks is no pavement will be placed in at some level, it must mean something different. Because if Section A covered pavement, you wouldn't have B at all. And then you wouldn't use the different term such as buffer area, as opposed, you would just say the the setbacks in Section A, the structure setbacks in Section A apply. So Section A is a structure setback, and then the pavement setback is buffer area. So I interpret that on the fly, that you can have pavement within the structure setback, but it can't be within a buffer area. So if you have a wetland buffer, you can't put pavement within the wetland buffer. But if you have a standard front or side yard setback, you can't have pavement in that setback because that's a structure setback. That's how I would read the chart.
No, I understand your point.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I see it that
It
way.
has to be something different, otherwise you wouldn't differentiate between structure and
Well, then what's a buffer area?
I think a buffer would be say a wetland buffer, a buffer to some physical feature as opposed to just a standard setback from a property line. A property line setback is we don't want our houses too close together. We want to give our neighbors a little bit of room to breathe. That's different than a buffer, which says, the town has found for the good of the wetlands, the good of the water quality, you have to be 50 feet or whatever many feet away from a wetland or from a shoreland or from, a floodplain. I can think of all kinds of setbacks, all kinds of buffers that are, it's more specific to what's on the ground as opposed to just the property line. So I think these setbacks that you're citing to are structure setbacks. Pavement is not structure. We can't put pavement, and I don't know exactly what kind of overlays you folks have in your zoning ordinance, but we can't put pavement within a wetlands buffer area, within other types of buffer areas, but that's different than what the structure setback is.
Darren, on this one, I'm trying to be,
Yeah, I understand, and I'm trying to
yeah,
interpret on the fly to
No,
try to
no.
give you a comfort level that
Yeah.
it hasn't been called out to us, and, usually we don't get to this stage with a plan which violates the zoning ordinance without, somebody in City Hall saying, wait a minute, Town Hall, you can't do this. So it hasn't been called out. I think that's the reason as I look at this. We're talking about a structure setback. This is pavement. Pavement's not a structure for setback purposes, as long as we're not within any kind of buffer, wetlands buffer, again, floodplain buffer, shorefront buffer, you can have pavement within the structure setback area.
Can I make a comment? Bo Raish, I'm VP of Development, Investor Capital. If you couldn't have any pavement within a setback, let's just say if you have a 10-foot setback, along, the frontage, you would never be able to have a driveway on any property.
no, trust me, I thought of this similar things. It's just that in my view of the zoning ordinance was they carved out pavement setbacks for a reason, or they would.
I think they deal with buffer, they clearly deal with buffers as opposed to,
Yeah, landscape buffer, wetland buffer, I agree. I mean, we've, on every property I've ever done, we can't pave inside a buffer area, but I've never seen it where I haven't been able to pave inside of a setback, like a building setback. Or else no property would ever be able to have a driveway.
Yeah, and from my recollection as well, I think the landscaping had a 10-foot, for instance, the landscaping section does have a buffer, 10 feet.
Right, no, the site
we
plan
apply.
regulations have all,
Yeah,
the problem is you've got a term sitting in the zoning ordinance that's not necessarily defined. Buffers are nowhere defined in the ordinance.
but I think a buffer is different than a setback.
No,
I get that they serve the same purpose, but I think it means something different.
I've had plenty of properties where we have a 20-foot, or 100-foot, setback from a building, and then a 20-foot landscape buffer on top of that, where we've got required landscaping, so I can have a buffer on top of the setback. But I've always, as far as every zoning code I've ever looked at, the setback is I can't put a building there, but I can't put, I can pave it. I just can't put pave into a buffer area. If it's like a wetland buffer or a landscape buffer.
which we did. We met the landscaping buffer, and we have a no disturbance to the wetland on this property.
Again, I just go back to the same example. If you've got a 10-foot front yard setback and I've got a driveway, that would make every driveway in the town legal.
well, again, this is only limited to industrial and commercial properties.
Well, then every driveway for industrial commercial property would be illegal.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I live in this town. So,
But I think you can see the distinction, the way, if you interpret
I-
it that way, it creates that problem. And that's why I think you would interpret it as a buffer. You can't have pavement within those other types of buffers, but a buffer, a setback may be, a buffer is different than a setback.
yeah, I can see the point.
Trying to give you a comfort level.
I'm not, no, hey. I mean, this is my job.
No, I
have
get
to,
it.
you know.
But again, I think there's clearly a distinction, because if these apply to pavement, it wouldn't be called structure setbacks, it would be called something else. And then you wouldn't have a separate pavement section. You would just say the setbacks in section A apply to pavement. That would be much easier than what's there now.
This sounds more self-serving than I mean it, but I probably know that zoning ordinance as well as anyone.
Yeah.
To assume that the reason they did something was because of a plan doesn't always bear itself out. Okay. Yeah.
You know your zoning ordinance better than
Yeah.
I do. I know it from the appeal, but,
Yeah.
whenever we're interpreting statutes or ordinances, we have to ascertain the intent of the people who put it together from what's in there. And when you have these differentiations, it's evidence that the intent is that setback and buffers, structure setback and pavement setbacks is something different, because they have two different sections and use different terms.
Just let me ask a question then, in the context of what we're talking about right now. And Dan, you can weigh in on this. Is there does that logic flow through all instances of what we're talking about here?
Yeah, I think on that logic, this plan complies with these setbacks.
No, I mean, if we're talking about setbacks and the setback buffer distinction, all right? So I mean, so we're not talking about, the driveway next to the structure, but as you go out, I mean, does that logic flow through wherever that paving is in terms of?
It doesn't interfere with any buffers. It would only be within setbacks, not within buffers.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Correct. If you accept my interpretation on the fly,
Right.
that's a compliant plan.
Okay, so, I guess that's my question, just in terms of, at each instance that we're talking about, let's say the buffer setback distinction, if that logic or interpretation holds, then we're saying that that's compliant.
We did not encroach pavement into any buffers.
If we were to go with that logic, buffer setback distinction,
Yeah, I
are we
mean,
encroaching on any buffers?
my understanding of a buffer is always that it was just an area of undisturbed, undeveloped, and not covered by buildings, pavement, or any other structures. And that's how I read this. That's how I read this provision of the zoning ordinance. That's why my view was perhaps that's why it was put there, because otherwise, why put it there at all?
Because buffer is different than a setback.
Well, buffers are discussed in the site plan regulations, not in the zoning ordinance, and to me, the buffer area is just a synonymous use of setback, but
I just think they're two different things.
yeah. No, I can see your point. And I can see the point that, that when you get down to the driveways, how do you connect to the road? And I'm looking more for, where the pavement basically, encroaches.
I mean, it's fairly minimal if you look at it. I mean,
Yeah, other than the issue is the driveway. I get it.
Yeah,
you
we
know.
gotta have a driveway, so.
Yeah. So. I'm thinking.
Any other questions from any member of the board?
No, I mean, I'm good with their explanation.
Is there anyone from the public that wants to opine with respect to this particular? If you could, we just need you to be able to speak into the mic. And, I just need your name and your address.
Sorry. Hi, Robin Sullivan, 212 Plastow Road, Rockingham Self-Storage. I just want to know how big the retaining pond was. I didn't hear that. And forgive my ignorance about any of this. I don't even know what direction I'm looking at or anything. But when it comes to like the snow that we all have piled up in our facilities, where is their snow storage going to be, and where is that melt off going to go?
All right. I think this would be sort of a natural segue for you to kind of opine to those questions.
Yeah, certainly on the snow storage question, we have ample space adjacent to the parking shown, on both sides as well. And we do have some hatched areas which we've identified on the overall site plan, which is C100. You can see there's hatched areas adjacent to parking that we anticipate snow to be stored, but because of there is ample space on this site that will have significant space adjacent to the parking for snow.
You also have snow storage on the side of the driveway too, right? Isn't there some there?
Yeah, correct.
Can you bring up a tighter plan to just show
Yeah.
with your mouse?
If I can zoom this in, that would be great. Yeah, right. So we have some space here. We also are showing some hatched area along the drive as well.
Okay. And I guess the other question was just sort of, how large is the retention pond that you had indicated?
Retention pond sizes are approximately 3,000 square feet apiece. The one down by the road is a little bit more linear, so it's in the range of 3,500 square feet. But those are sized according to our calculations in order to hold the runoff infiltrated into the ground to make sure we're not adversely impacting the flow. The front detention basin, we got to make sure we meet the pre versus post to that DOT basin. And at the rear, we've sized it to not overflow at all, to make sure that all the water from the roof goes into that basin and it infiltrates into the ground. So that's really what drives the size.
Now, do you have an idea of, in terms of like, I don't know, you have a large weather event of some kind, how long does it take to infiltrate into the ground based on
Sure.
what the soil is and such?
Yeah, I mean, per the state regulations, the pond's required to drain within 72 hours.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
I guess so. I have to relay this information to people who know things, so
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public? No? The board?
I still have the question on the 100 square foot.
Is that the commercial space?
Well, that's the office space as it's labeled.
Yeah, I mean, so the Storage Owners of America, the company I work for, we have a pretty robust, in addition to owning storage, which is the majority of it, we lease over 300,000 square feet of office as well. We've listed 100 square foot space, which during construction will be listed for lease as an office. We'll be built it out as such. If somebody comes and wants 500 square feet, they want 1,000 square feet, it's just storage. I can pay them less units. I don't know I don't have a use lined up for it, other than we'll list it to comply with the code that requires 2 different uses. There's a commercial space that'll be made available for lease at market rents, and if somebody comes and wants more, we can make it bigger. But we just that's what in our head. I mean, in our discussions with staff, that's what we were had several back and forth on that. That's what we were told that would be fine as long as we have a secondary use, which we will do. We will advertise it for lease and we will make it available to public lease.
I'll give you my view. Is you got a limitation on a single use of 20,000 square feet, you know? This 100 square feet, given the use you want, which is 59,000 and some change, you know, represents less than 0.2% of the total space. It's hard for me I struggle with the notion that the whole intent of this zoning ordinance gets overwhelmed by 0.2%, and the buildings, you know, now essentially is approximately 3x the time of the limitation. I mean, I know that zoning ordinance, it wasn't intended to do that, you know? And I understand there's ambiguity, believe me. But that's kind of where my head at. I'm just looking at the straight math, and I'm not going to call anything names or anything. I get why you need it to work this way. But I'm just struggling with the math.
Yeah, we believe, from talking to staff, that it meets the requirements. If people want more space, that's fine. We're not, we intend to abide by the zoning ordinance. So,
So you have a 100 square foot room, and with the caveat that you're somehow willing to expand it as needed.
CPA comes to me and says, I need 2 offices, I need 750 for a conference room and 2 offices. We can do that, you know. It just, I didn't want to put 750 square feet and then somebody else comes to me with a different use and only wants 100, I can't lease the rest. I mean, so, you know, this was, and again, I know there's a big, that was discussed with staff and I was told that was okay. But that's where we're at. I mean, we complied with the code. I mean,
All right. Anything else? I mean, I'm just trying to think that. I mean, I understand that. I mean, again, a review of the code with respect to C3, you know, doesn't have a minimum requirement, or doesn't have anything that's sort of tied to, you know, modulates, you know, the size or what that minimum size is. I mean, maybe that's something that, you know, maybe 2027 is something we revisit that, just so that, you know, we're not in a situation where we're, you know, sort of doubling the size of something and saying that it's a 10 by 10 square foot room.
I mean, if there had been a minimum of a 50% use or something like that, that had been in the code.
Right.
The parking requirement would have killed the entire project. I mean, you know, so we complied with the code, discussed with staff. You know, that if these have been communicated to me ahead of time, I mean, again, this is what's in the code. Complying with it, you know, if it said something different, we may not have done the project. You know,
All right.
that's how we got here. So.
All right.
I understand. I mean, it's not lost on me where you're coming from with that comment. I mean, but I just, again, we did this. There were several discussions with staff, and we were told this was in compliance with the code, and we move forward based on that.
All right.
And that's fair enough.
Like I said, I see where you're coming from, by all means.
All right. There's nothing else. You know, at this point, I think we've closed the public hearing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to close the public hearing for PB 2508 at 7:10. All right. I think there's a draft motion. If
Yeah,
you want to,
I can make it.
Make that motion.
I move to approve the application for a 59,284 square foot self-storage site plan as noted in the legal notice PB number 25-08 for the property located at 205 Plastow Road, tax map 44, lot 15 in the C3 zoning district with the following conditions. All applicable professional stamps shall be affixed to the final plan for recording. Receipt of the NHDES construction approval for installation of of an on-site wastewater disposal system and permit number and approval date noted on the plan. Receipt of the NHDES alteration of terrain permit and the permit number and approval date noted on the plan. Receipt of the NHDOT driveway permit and permit number and approval date noted on the plan. All conditions of the approval shall be met and final plans for recording submitted to the planning department within 60 days of the receipt of the last required state permit.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Pelletier?
I tend to agree with Dan that I think the intent is different, but compliance is different from intent. And I think it seems like they complied, even though I disagree with the intent of that article. So I'm probably going to be a yes, just because those are the zoning, that's what we have in place currently.
I agree with you.
I also do.
No, I also agree with that sentiment that C3 was, not meant to be what it is, where we're expanding large footprints and things like that. That's what we wanted when we made the changes. We wanted sort of small businesses and things like that. But, if there's some change that needs to be made to kind of tighten that up, that's something that we can address next year, perhaps. All right. Anyone else?
I remain unconvinced on that one, so, and I don't need to restate why. So.
All right, so I'm going to call the roll. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
All right. Abstain? Is that, Pelletier, did you vote in the
I
affirmative?
voted aye. I voted in the
Okay,
affirmative.
so 410?
410.
410.
All right, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Thanks. Good luck, guys.
Wait a minute, I think I need to read
That's
some
mine.
additional things into the record? Does not need to be included in the motion. Okay, so L-chip fees, since this is recorded plan being amended, there will not be an L-chip fee. Impact fees, there will be a public safety impact fee assessed on the net gain in building square footage. The proposed structure, 59,284 square feet, 100 square foot office space and remainder as self-storage. The public safety impact fee is assessed at $1.27 per square foot for office space and 47 cents for self-storage, for a total of $27,942.54. That will be due prior to the closing of any building permits or issuances of a certificate of occupancy. If the building footprint approved by the planning board changes, this information will be updated for the notice of decision. Bonding and pre-construction meeting. Prior to the issuance of any construction-related permits, the applicant will be required to complete and submit a bond estimate worksheet for review by Keach Nordstrom Associates and approval of the planning board. Also, a pre-construction meeting will need to be scheduled once the plan has been recorded and the bond has been received by the planning department. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
All right. Just take a second to reorient here. All right. Next on the agenda, PB 25-17. I believe we have a letter indicating that that's being continued. An application from 27 Garden Road LLC for preliminary design review that proposes adding the parking spaces and a storage shed. The property is located at 27 Garden Road, tax map 26, lot 53, in the C3 zoning district. The property owner of record is 27 Garden Road LLC. That'll be continued to, I assume we're doing that in March.
It would be March 18th.
It'll be continued to March 18th. And that'll be the only notice, with respect to that public hearing going forward. All right. Next on the agenda, PB 2602, the completeness of an application from John Spadacino for review of a site plan that proposes a restaurant. The property is located at 65 Plastow Road, tax map 27, lot 43 in the C1 zoning district. The property owner of record is the Peam Realty LLC. The application is found to be complete, the planning board may immediately conduct a public hearing. Right. All right, I move to accept the application for an amended site plan as noted in the legal notice PB 2602 for the property located at 65 Plastow Road, tax map 27, lot 43 in the C1 zoning district as complete.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion on completeness of this application? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right, 500. All right. Gentlemen.
How are you?
Doing well. Just for the purposes of the record, just state your name and your address and then.
John, as far as you know.
All right. I pronounce it relatively close.
Got it, yeah.
Tom Schomberg of SEC Associates.
Joel Salvatore.
Right.
All right. So, good evening. We were last before the board on December 17th at a conceptual consultation for the proposed change in use to the existing commercial space. We're here now at the direction of the town planner for a formal change in use hearing. The plan before you tonight is largely the same as the plan presented on December 17th with some minor revisions at the direction of the town planner. Just a quick recap of the proposal. The project's located at 65 Plastow Road on the corner of the intersection of Joanne Drive and East Road. It's approximately 1.6 acres with 445 feet of frontage between the two roadways. This is an existing commercial plaza supporting multiple businesses with a total of about 33 parking spaces. The 3,900 square foot commercial space that's the subject of the application, here in red, was formerly the City Tobacco and Beverage Center. The project is limited to a change in use. Approximately half the 3,900 square feet space will be used for food prep, while the other half will be retail or takeout. No changes to the site are proposed. And then the previous use required 16 spaces at one space per 250 square feet. The proposed use doesn't have a comparable use in the ordinance, but with about 16 spaces making it approximately one space every 120 square feet. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer if we're able to.
And was this pretty much all takeout, or is there going to be any sit down in there?
I'll take it.
I think we hashed it out pretty good when they were in for the conceptual.
Yeah, and you know, the city would have been considered a convenience store, you know, for in terms of traffic generation. This is obviously a deli or equivalent to it. So it's going to have, just the way the numbers work, less traffic than more. So I mean, I think this is a great use.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great use for that property.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep.
It's a contractor discount, right? So when we go.
Got it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Shay, we're just doing, this is proposed amended site plan that'll be kept in-house.
Correct. Yeah, the plan will be kept in-house with the planning board chair signature on it, and then a notice of decision will be recorded with the registry. So there's something on file with them for the ordinance.
Okay.
Are there any other, concerns or any granularity that were, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, nothing that's been brought to my attention.
Okay.
It's been empty for a while. Glad to see something in there.
A while ago, and you
Yep.
paid for it, whatever, so and then brought us back to this, does that mean in the next day or two, where you go see the inspector and grab it, or what happens from there?
Usually you have to wait 30 days because it could be appealed, right?
Yes, there's a 30-day appeal period where anything that's done during that time is at your own risk. But the notice of decision has to be issued within 5 days, 5 business days of the decision of the board, and we'll get it recorded with the registry as soon as we're able.
Okay.
And I'll notify you guys as soon as that has been done.
But yeah, you just have to observe the appeal periods in case.
5 days starts from here.
The notice of
Notice of
decision has to be
decision.
within
Okay.
5
Yes.
days, but yes.
Yes.
But I believe the 30 days starts from here, doesn't it, Shay?
I believe so. I believe
Yeah.
it's from the date of the decision,
Decision,
which would be
right.
today.
So this is, we just have to get you the decision, but the date, this is the date when we make the decision. This is the date of it.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to weigh in with respect to this public hearing?
Now's your chance to get like a free meatball sub or something.
If that was going to shut down the Italian market, we can't be friends anymore.
Can't be friends. All right. Any other questions? No? If not, then I'll close the public hearing for PB 26-02 at 7:21. All right.
All right, I move to approve the application for an amended site plan as noted in the legal notice, PB number 26-02 for the property located 65 Plastow Road, tax map 27, lot 43 in the C1 zoning district.
Have a second? All right, Rich
Either way.
Leclerc seconds it.
You can't
Any
wait for a
discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very
Abstained?
much.
Good luck.
Thank you. Come see us.
I'm just going to read this for the record. Please note for the record that the amended site plan will be signed by the chair and maintained in the planning department record files. The notice of decision will be recorded in the Rockingham County Registry of Deeds. That's it. All right. Good. Excellent. Good night.
It'd take a few bucks to out at that place. That was one of the, it would have cost to do that.
Too bad they all couldn't be that easy.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right.
As Dan said, it's
All
basically.
right.
gonna be less.
Next on the agenda, we have a conceptual consultation for Alberta Reyna, 22 Danville Road, Plastow, tax map 30, lot 91.
Good evening again.
Who are you?
Yeah, right. Tom Stromberg of SEC. And here for this request for a conceptual consultation to discuss a change of use and potential site expansion. So the plan before you tonight is the last reported site plan for the property. Just, you know, according to the conceptual consultation, we didn't submit any new plan, but we have performed a full site survey for the property and are ready to, you know, prepare a full site plan. Hoping to receive some feedback tonight for the proposed layout prior to moving into the formal site plan review phase with a change of use and site plan review. The project is located at 22 Danville Road. It is in the C1 district, tax map 30, lot 91. Contains approximately 1.16 acres, with about 165 feet of frontage on Danville Road. The property contains an existing primary building, paid parking area, as well as a security fence. It's served by an on-site septic system and a private well. The septic is located up front, whereas the well is located at the rear of the property. The lot generally slopes from the front of Danville Road toward the rear of the property. The proposed conditions are to shift the use from the existing store or shop to a trade business to facilitate a HVAC contracting operation. And what we're proposing is the construction of a garage attachment be located approximately where my mouse is in the building. As well as the placement of 3 outdoor storage containers, which should be placed more or less along the pavement, kind of making an L here. The intention of placing the storage containers in that orientation is to kind of help provide some, you know, sound and visual barrier for abutters. We know that there's a residence on that side.
You say butters on, where is the butter located?
So the property is in the C1, but it's surrounded by residential use. I believe it's mostly multifamily dwellings. So there's butters to the north, west, and south. That would be residential.
That's Auburn Street, I think.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Who abuts to the rear of the property?
It's a larger condominium complex. If I can't pull this any further out, but
So it's all residential in the rear.
yeah, it's because it's in the Danville Street overlay, which I believe allows.
Right. Was that building built as a result of 2005?
Nope, wasn't built.
No? Okay, so that's
Still all open. Yep.
open space, okay.
Yep. The only existing building is what's currently shown on the plan. The
All right.
proposal was never constructed.
It's always hard when you get the plans and then you go, okay, does this actually get
Yep.
built? So how big is the structure, the additional structure?
So the existing building's about 2,600 square feet. As far as the additional structure, we're talking in the ballpark of like 25 by 25, kind of a standard garage addition.
Okay.
How tall?
It would be the same story as the existing building, which I believe is just a one-story.
Okay.
If it was more than one story, it would still be less than the allowed in the zone.
Yeah, I think it is one story.
It's
If
one
I'm
story.
picturing it correctly, I think it
Yeah.
is one story.
Pretty sure it's one.
And this has some variances already, right?
I believe so. Yes, because the existing building, I'm not sure if the zoning was updated after the existing building was built.
But the side setback there, right?
Yes. The building's approximately 25 feet from that side setback, but at least in the current zoning ordinance, because it's abutting residential, it should be 50 feet.
Right.
So I'd probably put it.
Now, the addition, I suspect, will be outside the setback?
Correct. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
The addition would be outside and the storage containers would be inside the setback. I'm not sure if a variance is still required for the storage containers.
What is the, with respect to storage containers in C1?
Well, they're all, I mean, again, in 3 weeks, there's been an amended definition of storage containers and storage trailers. They're permitted, as an accessory use in C1.
So, I
You know,
mean, those
you may need-
those are existing right there, right? I mean, they're already.
No,
there.
that's gone. That doesn't
There-
exist, right?
There was originally 3 permitted storage containers on the property. They've since been removed from what I'm aware of. So the intent would be to just permit 3 new ones.
And they're accessory to whatever was happening on the site.
Yep. Yeah, they'd be accessory to the HVAC business, generally to store, pipe, other kind of things for installs that aren't necessarily temperature sensitive, just to keep it out of the main building.
So are there considerations then in zoning, and if things were to pass, they need to be aware of?
I think, I'd have to pull up because we just had this tutorial on setbacks and buffers, so. So what, basically, if we follow the previous applicant, one of the previous applicants' logic, you're probably going to have those, the proposal is to stick those storage trailers and ignoring for the moment what's in them. You'd fall into the definition of structure. And if you look at that definition, I think that storage trailers, in addition to their individual definition, fit the definition of a structure. So you probably need a variance to stick them in there. And again, I think and they're going to require permits under the ordinance also.
Mm-hmm.
I think, again, from just giving you advice is, I think I'd really narrow down what's in them, And they can't, under the ordinance, contain any hazardous material. Or I think this sits in the aquifer, aquifer protection district. So the notion there of like regulated substances also is going to come into play. And I'm not saying they are or they aren't. I'm just free associating here. The challenge is this is an existing non-conforming lot from lot size.
Yes.
So, the ordinance has been kind of proposed to be amended with respect to nonconformity. And it's not that you can't expand the use, it's just there's a certain amount before you extend beyond, before you become a significant use. I forget the
There's a
term.
formula
Yeah.
associated
Yeah.
with proposed zoning on non-conforming, so that's
So-
probably something you want to be aware of if it passes.
Well, and so there is a piece there that you can expand by right, which whatever you can do to conform to that will probably be beneficial to your client. I have no problem with the trade use that's permitted in here, the buildings in here. We're not talking about, lot coverage. I don't think traffic comes into play.
And so with those new regulations and the expansion of nonconformity, would the construction of the garage that would be outside of the setbacks be an expansion of that, or would that be one of those
It
by
would,
right?
it would be an expansion of that, yeah. And let me just.
You're earning your money tonight, Dan.
I am. I wish I paid attention less. I'd be probably happier. So basically those, 20% is kind of your basic limitation, And it kind of tries to capture everything, lot coverage, building size, that kind of thing. But if you're within that range, then, you can do it by right, assuming the ordinance passes.
No, and then otherwise it would just be a variance request?
Yes.
Okay.
Trying to think if I
Anyone
have.
else? You know, actually, what would the hours of operation be? You know that?
Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact hours, but I'm sure they have to conform with
Because I know eventually that's gonna come up.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna wanna know the hours of operation, what
Yeah.
days.
And it's an existing HVAC business that's in Salem now, right?
Yes, yep, so
Okay.
they'd just be moving in. Yeah, they'd be moving from Salem to Plastow.
Okay.
Anyone else on the board? Any questions? Shay, anything that you think
I have nothing to add.
would be beneficial for to know?
Just that it looks like the proposed zoning amendments, you would be able, if you were looking at an expansion between 20 and 50%, it would be approved through a special exception,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
not a variance.
So you do have,
Okay.
yeah, I use variance, but it is a special exception. There's actually a fair amount of leeway for the expansion. It's just, you're going through another step.
Yeah, and we wouldn't end up actually expanding any lot coverage or anything. It would just be kind of converting currently used space.
Okay.
Any idea about parking or anything like that? Is that just does that increase?
Yeah, so it's one of those uses where parking isn't necessarily easily determined from a formula because it's not like you're going to have office workers necessarily in there all day. A lot of it's going to be storage for, coming in, picking up, and then going for the install. Have to imagine it would be similar to like a trade unit in terms of parking spaces. I'm sure I could prepare something. There's quite a few existing parking spaces on the property, as well as a lot of pavement in the back that could be converted to parking spaces if needed. But it looks like just as existing, there's approximately 12.
Is the approximate location for the septic or anything like that? Is there an existing septic there already, or is that just?
There is, yep.
Is that, so when you indicate that, is that just, you're looking to expand it or do something, or?
No, so it's just on there just to show that, based on records, that's where the septic is. Because it's going to be a similar use that, isn't going to put it above the minimum allowed or minimum required septic sizing. The septic should be sufficient for the new use as well.
And this isn't their site plan. This is the one that's been sitting there. So you're subject to whatever, however they related on the site.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything else want to add?
No, I'm good.
All right.
All right. So, anything else?
No, so I guess generally, so just for the change in use site plan, be ready to kind of confirm either it meets the future by right expansion of nonconformity or kind of fits into a special exception. Otherwise, yeah, I think that kind of sums it up.
Yeah, remember, it's only to the extent you're increasing the footprint or adding space, I mean, if this is a pre-existing non-conforming use and you're not changing those, then, other than where you plan to put the storage trailers, there may not be a lot of things you have to do,
Okay.
But if you do,
Yeah.
you're going to be visiting the ZBA.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Good night.
And right, next on the agenda, conceptual behavioral country club, 93 Forest Street, tax map 66, lot 17.
Okay. Have a gavel?
I close out of that. Is that okay?
Yeah, you-
Obviously, the main clubhouse location is in Haverhill, Mass, but the work we're proposing is located within the Plastow town lines. This is kind of a survey of the existing project area. I think for the overall site plan process, what we'll do is we'll come with a bigger overall view of the golf course to kind of show with contours where we are. But essentially, where this project is located is right in between hole 1 green, the hole 2 fairway, and hole number 8 green. Where this project is located from a topography standpoint, it's essentially bottom of a bowl valley area. The contours, as you can see, are all shaping down to the south from this point. If you were to continue down to the south, the hill would actually be sloping back down to the project area. On this survey, we show obviously tree lines from where there's some trees located, some of the golf cart pathways. We show wetlands, one to the west of the project area, as well as what's called Snows Brook, an existing brook that kind of runs from north to south on the project area. Within this, we also show a couple other features. There's the Aquifer Protection District boundary line right here, as well as 100-year floodplains. Additionally, we also show test pits throughout the site to show we did some excavations, get soil type, they understand what the soil types were, as well as depths of groundwater to get an idea of what we're working with. The ultimate goal of this project is to propose a new irrigation pond for the golf course. Right now, the golf course is supplied irrigation water by just this one pond over here. It's been there. It's man-made and been utilized as for irrigation purposes. Again, the intent here is to construct a new irrigation pond. As you can see, we show it, so we're, again, right within hole 1 green, hole 2 fairway, and hole 8 green, as well as hole 8 fairway. As you can see, this is the overall shape of the pond itself. Maximum depth would be about 5 feet. Is there a way to zoom in? There we go. Maximum depth would be about 5 feet deep. The overall pond size that we are proposing is roughly 62,000 square feet. The fill that will be pulled from the excavation, the intent is to lose as much as we can within the proposed limit of disturbance. The overall limit of disturbance is calculated out as about 250,000 square feet. So we know we'll need an alteration of terrain permit with the DES for that. The soil fill, the intent is to lose as much on-site as possible. If there's any left over that might be likely brought to the maintenance yard stockpile for future projects, because there's always something going on at the golf course. The anticipated volume, kind of free volume within the pond, would be just shy of 2 million gallons. And again, this would be utilized for irrigation. The intent is to take the water from the pond with a small pump house. It'd be kind of a prefab shed, essentially, and just pump it over to the other irrigation line. So that way we're not creating all new infrastructure for irrigation, just connecting it just to back up the supply there. As you can see, we are close. We had to really narrow down our limits to make sure we comply with everything, but we are not right now. The intent is to not encroach over the Aquifer Protection District. So that way, we're staying out of that area. Additionally, most of the work is staying outside of the 100-year floodplain. The only section would be just this transmission line going across. But again, the transfer line would actually be buried, except for just this small crossing would be buried going across. So it wouldn't really alter the floodplain itself. So it'd be kind of minor, really no impact at all. No change to impervious, no increasing in parking, no increasing in lighting, no change of use, no change of hours. Essentially, that's the only impervious, actually, to qualify, the only impervious would be the pump house, the small shed structure. That's essentially the project. It's the overall kind of a simple.
Where's the initial storage of the water? Where's that coming from?
The water, the intent is to be self-filling from the groundwater level. That's why we did test pits and we have monitoring wells. The test pits, we showed a range of anywhere from 6 to 13 feet. And then we put in some temporary observation wells to kind of get a read. And again, kind of confirmed about 6 or so feet is where the static level would be. So we show on this sheet, kind of like a permanent, did it freeze out on me? Kind of a permanent pool elevation of 88 feet. That's just going to be a static groundwater elevation. There was some ability for it to rise based on hydrostatic pressure and such, as well as there would be a chance for from the hillside flowing in, helping recharge the pond. So that way, there is an additional filling source. With that said, from a protection standpoint, we have a kind of a emergency overflow spillway. That way, there's no excessive buildup of the water behind the pond that would kind of blow it out. During large rain events, there's a way to release it just in case.
What's the size of the existing? You said this is 62,000 square feet?
The proposed, yes.
Yeah. What's the existing?
That's a great question. Off the top of my head, I can't answer Max, do you know at all?
On 17.
Yeah.
The pond on the other side of is approximately 7 to 7.5 million gallon capacity, about 110,000 feet around.
Okay.
At the probably 12 feet at the maybe 15 feet at the lowest point, and averages 8 to 10 feet.
Lot of water.
Yeah. So this is smaller than what this is smaller than the existing one that you have.
Correct, but based on our understanding and talks with the golf course and some of their other consultants, this would be enough to kind of help them. Right now, I think they dry with no precipitation. Their existing pond dries out roughly, I think early July or so. This would help sustain through the rest of the year, or the rest of the season. So that's, I think they've tried other avenues to get additional water sources, but it's been shut down. So this is kind of their, the next option.
This is primarily an engineering exercise from, versus a general site plan exercise.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
AOT, this is going to require an AOT.
AOT, also wetlands right now. So, yep. And,
The only observation I had is, I don't know if you want to chat with like the Plastow health officer, is creating this much water. I just look at it as a breeding ground for more mosquitoes. And, occasionally I think we do spray in town, don't we?
There are certain areas we spray.
Yeah.
Not town-wide.
Right.
Certain
Correct.
areas.
So that, and I'm not saying go ask someone for permission. I'm just saying it might not be the worst thing to just put in a call.
To see, if any insight from them will hunt.
Yeah, or, what the kind of spraying, mechanism is.
I would imagine it would basically be the same as the existing pond.
Yeah.
So the same procedure, I would imagine. So we absolutely can call, and I'll make sure to do that before the next, before we actually go through site plan, but.
That's the only thought I had.
No, you just said self-fulfilling. In other words, just so that whatever the hydrostatic pressure is, it just.
Yeah.
So this is not going to have any impact on like surrounding wells and things like that. Like,
I would
No
I would
water
say no.
wars or
I'm not a hydrogeologist, so I can't say officially, but I would say no. I mean, you look at where this is almost dead center of the overall golf course lot.
And you said it sits in a bowl, so everything kind of funnels to it.
Correct. So I think when they were looking at the landscape architect who even got us involved, he kind of said this is an ideal spot based on several parameters, and kind of looking at it, it's like, actually, you're absolutely right. There's really no impact to, or very limited impact to any abutters. I mean, the abutters who have been, I think, there was 18 abutters.
I believe so.
So wide range, but none of them are even going to see this project. It's because the way it's shaped and how big the area is. So yeah.
all right.
And
He's got it.
just to that, so I'm the superintendent of Naval Country Club, Max Sherman.
Just need you to speak into the mic and give your name.
Just on that note of water source, my name is Max Sheridan, superintendent of the Haverhill Country Club. Pond would be filled by groundwater, but there would also be a direct line from our current irrigation system, which feeds off of that other pond, that we would be able to top the pond off. It's a storage pond for drought times during the season, where the water flows through the golf course all spring through and then out. So we have excess water in March through really till June that we have no place to store that, right? So we lose it. So the concept being we would pump whatever doesn't naturally fill into that pond, we would be able to top off with a feed line from our current irrigation system, basically pumping out of 17 to top it off, store that water there, and then have a secondary pumping system, which is not going to require a pump house. We're going to end up doing a in-pond sled pumping system. So it's like, there's not even going to be a structure for that now.
Okay, perfect.
So a secondary line that would run from that pond back to 17 in August when we're in our drought conditions that we need to pull it. So there would be a secondary feed, but it's literally just taking the water from the other pond and filling it up. It's not coming from other sources.
Any other questions from anyone on the board?
No?
We'll have to show that, make sure we're putting this.
Is there, Shay, is there any logistics that we need to be aware of?
I guess, yeah, this would just be.
I mean, nothing that has been brought to my attention. This is just a conceptual, so it wasn't sent off for the planning board engineer to review yet at this point. So I don't have any comments from him.
Okay. It's not coming from.
Will definitely be something that's routed to him once the site plan
But it's not.
is submitted.
Right, yeah. You have anything else? I think, I mean, if no one else has anything.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right, thank you.
Have a nice.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have a conceptual for the Hoyt Farm Road.
The plan is on the computer.
I didn't.
I'm not vice chair.
What's that?
He's not chair, you're not vice chair.
That last tab on there.
That's a big project,
Yeah.
but it's primarily an engineering exercise.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't think this is it.
You're on the golf course.
There's a mouse there that you can use as well.
Oh, here we go. Hi, my name's Al Couillard. Just want to let all you guys know that I'm funding that pond.
It's a big pond.
Hopefully they'll let
You should
you,
get them to name it after you.
Oh, thanks.
or at least you can swim in it when it's hot.
So I'm here tonight for a proposed subdivision, PRD, off of Forest Street, White Farm Road, and White Farm Road. It's going to be 29 units, and it's going to have about 66 acres designated open space. This is an existing house here. So I'm going to come in off of Forest and go down this driveway past Hoyt Farm Road, go down this driveway and come in here with the subdivision and cul-de-sac. And I'm proposing, based on the formula for the PRD, it's 29 units. So I'm going to have 8 triplex buildings, 1 duplex building, 2 single-family lots, and then you have to count the existing house in the project.
You said 1 triplex? Or was it 8 triplex?
8 triplexes,
Okay.
1 duplex,
I got it.
2 single families, and 1 existing house.
And all the open space will sit in.
The green is
Yeah.
open space, yeah.
You said 66 acres?
Yeah,
Okay, that's a lot of open space.
yeah.
That is.
So how much is the disturbed area?
The project itself.
Yeah,
I think it's about, I don't know exactly, to tell you the truth. I have the plan back there if you want me to look at it.
no, I don't, because the whole site was what, 80 acres, 80s?
Well, including the other side where Luke's Way is, I think it was 130, in the neighborhood of 130.
Right, and Luke's Way
Is
absorbed,
is about 29.
yeah, okay, so this is the remainder.
This is the remainder, correct?
Okay.
So 8, is 8 existing? Is that what I'm seeing on this plan? You're saying the
Hard to
driveway?
see, let me see if I can blow that up for you.
Pretty sure 8 is existing.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, that was the one I think he said, yes.
I guess that was just my question. So 8 is an existing structure.
Yeah,
Right, and that's the driveway that connects.
Correct.
And that's going to be a right of way for the rest of that
No,
development?
it's all going to be an accepted road.
Okay.
This house will gain its frontage on the new road.
Okay.
And you're not acquiring the house or,
I'm not. The whole thing was achieved by a land swap, so the 2 single-family lots will go back to the owners of this house, and I'll get the rest of the property to build the road.
yep. Yep. Because that new road, that's part of the existing driveway, right, to access the house?
You're talking about up here?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
This is all existing driveway from the entrance of Hoyt Farm Road
Right,
down to this existing
yeah,
home. Lot
okay, I
8.
just wanted to make sure I was
Yeah.
looking at it right.
Yeah, it's pretty wide, or it's all gravel.
Yeah,
wide.
yep,
It's
no.
nice.
You're just going to turn the driveway into a road. and then keep
Exactly,
going.
yes, I'm just going to
Yeah.
turn the driveway into a road.
Yep.
I talked to them before they left. There were people who, I missed a couple notifications, so some of them went out. So I talked to the people that showed up tonight, answered some questions. Nobody was ecstatic, but I didn't get beat up down there. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, there was some scuttlebutt on Facebook about it.
Yeah, I read it. I know.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Just, in terms of the proposed, the new road is
Yep.
basically what you're proposing that's new.
Yeah.
All right, from what, and it's emptying out onto Forest Street. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
They were talking about traffic, and I've entered there and drove up and down Forest Street as much as anybody here in the last 2 years, maybe more. I'm going from Luke's over to there. I'm going home. I'm on there all the time, and I don't have a problem with that. The line of sight is according when I submit the plan, the proposed plan, you're going to see it.
Excuse me.
It's well in acceptance in both ways. I don't see it as any big hazard. Maybe someone else does, but
No, I know exactly where you are. There's no line of sight issues.
I don't.
I don't think so.
How many units are sitting in that on Hoyt Road? Do you know?
7 on the hill?
Yeah.
I think 7 houses.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
No.
7 on top, I think 2 on the bottom.
Yeah.
Take 2.
I thought they were yeah.
There's 2 on the bottom.
Yeah.
2 on the bottom.
Well, I call it the bottom, not the top.
No, the triplexes, tell me about it.
Triplexes, I'm anticipating, what my thought process is to, it's hard for me to say affordable housing, but
Well, it's a hot topic now.
1,800 square feet, 3-bed, 2.5 bath, 1-car garage in the 600 to 700 range.
Well, that's kind of a sweet spot right there anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, gives them a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Would these be condominium essentially?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they'll be condominium.
So like townhouses more or
Yeah,
less,
yeah.
right? They have to.
Yeah, up and down townhouses,
They have to be.
condominiums, yeah.
All right.
There'll be an association. The association will manage the open space. That's per your regs. I'll be submitting the application of how we're going to hold title of the open space for your attorney's approval, the board's approval, I should say.
Is it going to be a common well?
Huh?
Is it going to be a common well? Is it going to be a community well? Or are they?
So I'm anticipating one well for each triplex and one septic system for each triplex. We did perk and deep test out there, and the soils look really good. Really nice, gravelly, sandy till, no chunks, no ledge, it looked good. I was happy.
So each lot has its own well and septic system.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have a timeline when you would actually start?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Can I get by you guys and get going? I'm thinking maybe 4, 5, 6 months, hopefully.
What's the average lot size? You might have said it. I might have missed it. Roughly. I know I can see it in a couple different lines.
Yeah, I don't know because they're the lot size doesn't matter when you do the PRD. It's what works. So I don't know, on Luke's Way, I could tell you they're all 110,000 square feet at least, but these all vary. So I'm not sure they're good size. They're all an acre or so at least.
I mean, one thing you just have to is, regardless of whether the traffic number becomes a small number overall exiting onto Forest Street, it's definitely going to, by a whole number factor, increase the traffic coming out of Hoyt Road.
Yeah.
I think as you're kind of working your PR, that would be an issue that I would spend some time on,
Well, that's what they were talking about downstairs.
Yeah.
And I said the same. I guess I will do exactly that.
I mean,
But
it's just a suggestion.
No, it's a good suggestion. And, but, I mean, just physically going in there all the time, like one person down there said, well, when are you turning in there, coming from Newton, coming from 108, and you're trying to turn down Hoyt Farm Road, you can't see. That's not true. I've done that, hundreds of times in the last 3 months. You can stop right here. You can stop right here before you're going to turn on Hoyt Road, and you can see all the way down that red line. You can see the traffic coming right at you. And coming in from this way, it's a piece of cake. So
And people are making that turn now.
Huh?
And people are making that turn now.
Well, I almost wanted to say, well, if it's so dangerous, are you going to be selling your house on the top of the hill soon because you can't get to your house on Hoyt Farm Road to me, it's a red herring, but I'll have Phil look at it. I'll go through it. By the time I get to you next time, I'll have some better answers on it.
Well, again, you're just accessing Hoyt Farm Road. It's
I'm
kind of hard
acting
to
a public
have you
right of way.
fix. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, it's just a volume exercise. Is that there definitely is going to be a lot more traffic, and it's all relative to what's there.
You'd almost figure each unit would have an average of 2 cars, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a quick way to kind of think
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
it's
And I would imagine each place is going to have parking for 2 cars. Is that how each unit's going to be set up?
They'll all have a 1-car garage, a tandem 2-car parking, a garage and then a space in front of it.
The front, okay.
Well, I mean, again, housing is a big thing, and I think in terms of housing developments, I think you're pretty much the only game in town, So,
Yep.
I mean, some people would like to have it both ways, but, if there's houses being built, this speaks to a need.
Well, they asked me downstairs, how come you get to do this special thing? I go, this is zoning. This is in your regulations. This is what the town is asking applicants to do. I'm just following the rules.
No, and it kind of gives us an opportunity to kind of get a look at something before it comes in. And
Yeah.
you can get some feedback.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's all good. So I don't know if Phil didn't, Stephen has already, because I missed a couple of butters. So Stephen already had the opportunity to write some. He reserves the right to write more, but he did already give me a partial review. It's pretty lengthy. It's about 5 pages. Nothing big, a lot of stuff. Probably, I plan on resubmitting to Shay on next Wednesday to meet the deadline for the 18th meeting in March.
All right.
And all those questions will be answered for sure. And then if he has a couple more after that, I'll take care of those. But it was nothing substantial. It was all little stuff.
No, I mean, the only thing I saw from Mr. Teach's letter, it just, there was a fair amount that I think is more substantive on the PRD with respect to the zoning ordinance, because that's a little bit of a minefield as you're looking at that. So I would, my feeling is always to nail down the zoning.
Yeah.
And then the engineering stuff kind of comes along after that. So.
Well, I put my confidence in Phil and Phil Christensen, and he's telling me that this formula is correct and the right number is 29.
Yeah, I don't think it's a number issue. I think it's just the elements around meeting the requirements of the zoning ordinance overall, not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
What I took from Steve's letter, yeah, because it's a nuanced ordinance, in the terms of what it was trying to accomplish. So
yeah, but nothing.
Nothing
jumped out at me.
Well, I didn't go back and take your plan and layer it over the ordinance, but I did peruse the ordinance, and it's got more substance there that I think is in the plan right now.
Okay. Well, I will try and address that with Mr. Christensen prior to next Wednesday.
All right. Look forward to seeing
Because
it.
Steve stopped reviewing anything.
Yeah, he said he's not done. It's a partial review. Yeah, I get it. I know.
Right. Okay.
I know. He's going to take another whack at it. That's fine. Overall, I feel like we're in the right direction, doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's just
Conceptually, this is what the town needs.
Yeah, I think from a conceptual standpoint, you have the right to use your land, and I don't think this is necessarily an offensive use at all. And I think from a town standpoint, it's a good use. And the fact that you're creating a substantial amount of open space, is a plus, I think.
I was hoping to get a little extra point or two for that.
Well, you got one.
I'll give him one too.
I'll take it.
But no, I think that's a huge plus, not to minimize it. I think it's a huge plus.
It is, because we all want to protect the open space.
Yeah.
66 acres is
the open space, is that, I mean, what does that constitute? Is that just sort of wetland area, or is it stuff that's not usable?
I can't. Why is it not wetlands? He knows. Because I can't use the calculations of wetlands to meet my standards for 29 units. It has to be upland, and it has to be a certain grade. It can't be too steep either.
Correct.
So
Right.
only the good land that's not wet and not steep is calculated in that 66 acres.
Right.
It's a lot better than building a dozen McMansions, I'll tell you that.
Well,
Hey, there's
because
something to be said for that too.
well, what the calculation does is preserve, real potential usable,
Yeah, I mean, the people who buy these
space.
condominiums, I mean, send the kids out in the woods, hang around. I mean, it's a lot. That's a lot of area to cover. That's a lot of decent usable area. And the gas line going through it, people don't understand. That's an easement over my property. They don't own that property.
Right.
The only thing we can't do is put a permanent structure on it.
Right.
But if you live in one of these units, the kids can go out and run down the pipeline and go down to the open space down near Forest Street and do whatever they want. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for the people who live there.
Will the houses there have access to gas? They're off of
No, it'd be all propane.
Okay.
You can't. Those are like.
Yeah, those are
You
big
can't tap those
lines.
easements.
No, I'm just saying that, like, part of Plaster I'm in, I have access
No,
to gas.
it'll be propane.
Okay.
Be propane.
Yeah, gas doesn't come down, especially even though you have the gas thing
Isn't
right
that-
there.
yeah, isn't that-
You got no gas down
It's
Florida.
ironic, right?
Yeah. I would have
Someone in
bet.
Tennessee gets it.
I would have bet, at one point in time, that was the only place that might have had gas,
Right.
And when the project starts, how long do you figure it'll take to complete? Just so the residents have an idea.
Well, it's going to be a little bit different. Like Luke's Way, when I build houses over there, those are bigger houses. Those take me 7 months, 8 months if they're 3,000, 3,500 square feet.
Yeah.
And they're accessorized. There's a lot of stuff in them.
Sure.
The condos, I'm going to do every condo the same. So I'm going to order all the cabinets, all the granite, everything, 26 of everything. So I think it'll go fairly quickly. I'll get them up one septic for the 3 buildings, so I'm only building 9 septic systems.
Yeah.
You're talking start to completion?
Yeah, roughly.
It's got to be at least 18 months, I would say. If
Yeah.
I get out of there in 18 months, I'd be really happy.
All right.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I can't.
I wish I didn't miss those abutters. We could talk about the rail plan, but we'll wait till March, I guess.
It sounds good.
All right.
Looks good.
I appreciate the input. I will talk to Phil about the ordinance, make sure he's got that nailed down. And maybe, I don't know, I'll take some pictures or I'll do something about the traffic. I mean, I know I sit right there and I can see it all the way down. So I can't see out. Line of sight is not an
Hoyt Farm
issue.
Road is already there.
Huh?
Hoyt Farm Road is
Hoyt
already
Farm
there.
Road's an existing road.
It's already there.
Yeah.
And there's no site issues.
Yeah, well, one of the women downstairs lives on the hill. I said, well, don't you drive in and out of there every day?
Well, and as you know, from driving up and down the road, I mean, that's a school bus stop sitting at the end of that,
Yeah.
at Hoyt Farm.
Yeah, the bus stops there. I mean, it's,
Road's already there. There's really no site issues.
people are gonna try and say a lot of things when you get a project with 26, 30, if you count 2 cars per house. So you get 30 new cars coming into your neighborhood and people, we're human beings. But I'll try and give you guys something I'll see what I can do about that traffic.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Good luck. Good night.
Thank you, Shep. See you guys.
That brings us to, I think that's it. Well, so old business, new business. Thoughts on the subject? I think we discussed that perhaps, I don't want to lose momentum on the master plan. Looking at again, from last meeting, we had indicated that we were looking for maybe something from RPC in terms of summarizing a way forward. So we're kind of waiting on that. So maybe we could reach out to RPC and just say, the board's hungry and looking for that. Again, traffic calming, I know that, I think, in our workshop, it'd be nice to see that memorandum that was sent out, from BOS in the town with respect to traffic calming so that we can sort of put that into the mix. I think that's what that was my takeaway. I don't want to belabor it since we went through a lot tonight. Anyone have anything they want to add? Mr. Kane, going once?
Nope.
All right, everyone.
Unless I missed it, I don't think we approved the minutes from last meeting.
You didn't, they didn't.
We didn't.
They didn't.
So we might want to revisit that.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll
Second it.
second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained?
Same.
Aye. Or abstain.
You abstain,
So
right?
two,
I do abstain.
aye and abstain. Okay, so it's at 302.
Yes.
All right.
And then I just have one other thing to bring to the board's attention. I got an invitation to Seacoast Housing Conversations. which is a new event series designed to bring people together who are working on housing issues and solutions in the area. I was asked to extend this to the planning board and other housing-oriented committees. They have 2 different sessions coming up. One is on Thursday, March 5th, which is an in-person networking and discussion session at the Exeter Town Hall. And the other one is a virtual focus group on Thursday, March 12th, which is online. So if anyone is interested in either of those events, let me know and I'd be happy to send you.
How long is the one online?
The online one is 1 hour from 6 to 7 p.m.
What day is it?
I was just gonna say
It's a
that.
Thursday, March 12th.
I could probably do that one.
Yeah, you can put me down for
Yeah,
that
me
one.
too.
That one I can do.
I can just send it to the board then.
Send it to the board.
That works.
Yeah.
Thursday, 6 to 7, you said?
Yes.
That should be pretty doable.
And I can watch it from the comfort of my own home.
Yes.
Well, where's the March 5th one? And will there be snacks?
Buy yourself a bag of chips.
I don't see anything about snacks on here. So.
All right. That's it. Then we'll close the meeting at 8:17. Thank you.